Good evening guys, this is Ace back for another Transformers review, and this time we're going to be looking at Dark of the Moon Topspin. Now this guy is from the movie Dark of the Moon obviously, and if I remember correctly guys, help me out here. I don't remember a blue Wreckers figure, you know, when in the movie when they're going into the space shuttle. I don't remember this guy. There was a blue guy that I remember that, you know, was really old and got killed by Soundwave. Sorry for the for anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet, but that's the only blue Transformer I remember from the movie, and he looked quite different than this guy. This guy looks young and like he's gonna kick your butt, whereas the guy in the movie looked old and feeble, and he just died like there was, you know, he couldn't crack an egg. But this guy is very, very cool. I was very hesitant to get this guy, especially after having got the Roadbuster figure, and that one was just a piece of crap. But this guy looks really, really awesome. The paintwork on this guy looks amazing, the detail is amazing, the amount of weaponry you get is amazing as well. So I am really, really looking forward to this guy. He is also like Roadbuster, sponsored by NASCAR. If the camera picks it up, there you go. So it's an official NASCAR product that comes out through Hasbro, and he is cool. He looks good. And the good thing is that I got this guy from Japan, so he is a Takara Tomy figure rather than the Hasbro. So you do get the card with the specs and, you know, the whole details on the figure itself. So I prefer getting these figures now rather than Hasbro. I'm assuming that probably the quality is going to be a lot better as well as Hasbro, and the finishing is just going to be good, so we're looking forward to this guy. The packaging itself is quite simple. It's very much in line with the rest of the deluxe figures from Dark of the Moon. You've got the picture of the figure in terms of his robot mode as well as alt mode on the back side, and you get a little bit of a bio, not too much though. It says, for Autobot Topspin, it's all about going fast and carrying lots of weapons. He, Roadbuster, and Leadfoot were master technicians on Cybertron. Over the years, they perfected modifications to vehicles, armor, and weaponry that rival anything the Decepticon scientists could ever hope to produce. Okay, but then why the hell do they get their ass kicked in the movie by the Decepticons? Anyway, so that's pretty much it for the packaging. Let's get this guy out. Okay, so now that Topspin's out of his packaging, you can see he does look fantastic. He is the typical NASCAR, although he is completely modified to look like he is one of the Wreckers, and he is completely armored up with weapons all over the place. Speaking of weapons, you do get his MechTech weapon, which is a little funny in my opinion, you know. I mean, okay, fine. This mode, it looks really cool. It's like a huge blaster that's, you know, got to rip holes into Decepticons, which is cool. Now, the trouble is, the way it moves, you kind of have to pull this thing back, and this thing becomes in front to become kind of like a claw. But if you do it fast, it's almost like he's clapping. And if you do it this way, he looks like a Japanese guy saying, "Banzai! Banzai! Banzai!" Anyway, let's put it to the side. The alt mode itself is very cool. You've got the NASCAR logo. Well, not the NASCAR logo, but you've got the sponsor of the NASCAR vehicle itself. You've got the Autobot logo on the side. You've got a lot of detail work in there with the engines. It's really beautifully done. I mean, you know, the color scheme as well really pops out, makes it really stand out. And you've got some paint apps all over the place as well. Now, this is really nicely done. I mean, if you compare this to the way the Roadbuster thing looked, there's no comparison. This thing looks a million times better. Why they couldn't do this with Roadbuster as well, I have absolutely no idea. But this figure is very cool. It does roll very nicely, no issues whatsoever, and it doesn't have rubber tires, they're pure plastic, but they all roll quite freely and independently of each other. When you look at it from the bottom, you can't see the robot parts, but luckily you can't see the face. So it's okay, I don't mind. And especially when you have this guy, you know, just displayed on the shelf this way, you're not going to have any complaints whatsoever. The MechTech weapon itself does go in the front, and there's a nice big hole where the peg goes in, and there you go. You've got Topspin with his MechTech weapon, all armored up, ready to kick some Decepticon butt. Now, the kit itself is very cool. very much like the movie itself, and it's very detailed. Even if you look on the inside, you do have the robot parts, but they've done it in some kind of a way that it looks like it's part of the inner mechanism of the car itself, even when you look at it from the back. And I like how they've done this in clear plastic, which is pretty cool. You've got open things over there, and you can't really see anything there apart from robot parts, so that's okay. But the weapons, the alt mode, everything about this is really good so far. Apart from the vehicle and the mech-tech weapon, you do get your standard things. You get the instruction sheet for the kit. Like, why do I keep saying kit? For the figure, and it shows you the typical things. So it's going from alt mode to robot mode, and then on the back it goes from robot mode to alt mode. And they're pretty straightforward instructions, easy to follow so far. I haven't really transformed this guy yet, but from the looks of the instruction sheet, it's not bad. It should be fairly easy. Now, one thing I did notice are the legs. They seem to be very, very similar to the animated Lockdown figure. So I hope the whole transformation isn't exactly like that figure itself. I'm hoping for something a little bit different. Also, you do get, not the warning sheet, but you do get a little bit of instructions on what the tech spec card is. So you get the actual card itself, you get an overlay sheet which shows you the mech-tech weapon and also the specs of the figure itself in terms of what its strength is, speed is, intelligence is, etc. And this is the card itself. So at the moment, if you look at it, you've got just the specifications card for the character, and on the back side you've got a little bit of bio, a little bit of history and what you can do with it, and on top of that you get this, which is pretty much clear. And you've got the mech-tech weapon, and it tells you about the point system and how many more points the character gets by using the mech-tech weapon, and obviously the point system. And this is very nice. It goes back to the old G1 specification cards where they gave you that red see-through plastic piece which you would put over the specifications, and it showed you exactly what the character's specifications were. So I'm really digging this. I wish all the Dark of the Moon figures came out with this, even if it was, regardless of if it was Hasbro or Takara producing them. Alright, so that's pretty much all the things you get. Let's have a look at the transformation. Okay, so to transform this guy it's a little bit on the difficult side. It's not exactly rocket science, but it is more involved than you would think. First thing you want to do is take off all his weapons. You don't technically have to, but they will get a little bit in the way, so it's always better to just get them out of the way. Then what you want to do is loosen the legs, and you can just take them apart from here. They've got little pegs that plug in into the side, and you can almost straighten them out this way. Just like that. Now, second thing you want to do is this whole bonnet area, you can lift up and a little bit out. This will give him a little bit of clearance, and these pieces will fold down. This is what I was thinking of would look a lot like Lockdown from the animated series, and it does. I mean, it does have a little bit of same, but luckily the transformation is not exactly the same as that guy. Second thing you want to do is straighten out his legs. As you can see, just like that, you can straighten them out on both sides like that. The legs, then these things are gonna fold in, and this is the foot. So you have to first take this at down, just make sure that it doesn't get stuck on his wheel, and that'll give his foot. And then the second thing you can do is move this up, and that creates his foot. Pretty easy, and it's done nicely so things don't really get in the way. And that's pretty much the legs done. The only thing left is the waist part. And again, make sure that is up. This part over here you can fold in on itself, so it's completely clear and hardly any kibble. These things then you bring together. Now this piece over here doesn't lock, but it does kind of, hold against each other and friction. Then we just want to turn this whole thing around, just like that. And now we pretty much have the bottom part done. Now, how do we do the top part? This is actually pretty simple. This whole top section of the car just splits in half, and just be a little bit careful because these pieces are on a ball joint which is joined over there on both sides, and they are a little bit loose, so they do pop off quite easily. But you just fold them down, and then on this hinge there you can fold them up like that. It's not too much, but it's just enough to give him a little bit of clearance and, you know, just detail him and definition him and how you want to produce it. Don't know what I just said there, but basically it looks aesthetically better when you do it this way. These pieces we can fold down and just put him down like this, because then he will look like he's got guns. Now before we do that, I can actually do this side. Before we fold these down, we should work on the arms. And this is actually very simple. You just have to fold them out a little bit. There's a little hinge joint over there on which it physically just moves out. And then you can bring it down like that. And then there's a rotation point under the shoulder, so you can position his arms properly. Same thing on the other side. We just take him out, bring it down, and we hinge him on there. Just like that. And we make sure it's this way. Now this back part of the bonnet, the whole windshield, will just come down like that to give him more space over there. And his head is on a ball joint, and all we have to do is just move it a little bit forward like this, so he looks much better. And then we can bring this down so he's got his weapons. And there we have Topspin transformed in his robot mode. Now the robot mode itself is very cool. I have to say it's much better than Roadbuster. It's got a lot more detail. It's better proportioned. It has less kibble. The paint apps are amazing. The amount of detail they've given you in the kit itself is amazing. The engineering to do the transformation is really good. This is a much better figure than Roadbuster. And I'm very happy I got this guy, because this guy looks really good. He doesn't have hands to speak of, but he's got these clipper things, which kind of, you know, goes in together with his mech-tech weapon. Even this one becomes some kind of a claw. Banzai! Okay. The face sculpt of this guy is what I'm really impressed about as well. I mean, he doesn't have too much paint app, but if you look at it, this guy looks cool. I mean, he could easily be, you know, with dreadlocks all over his side of his face. He looks cool. Or he could be some kind of a samurai warrior with his armor thing over there. And he does have some good lead piping as well, so, you know, if you did have some light, it will shine through very nicely. The figure itself is very nicely articulated. These things do move up and down. They're on ball joints, so you can position them any way you want to. The shoulders are on a ball joint, so 360 under the shoulders. Only 90 degrees at the elbow, but that's okay. And these pincers have a little bit of movement as well. They don't rotate, but they do open and close. Because of the transformation, he does have a little bit of a waist movement. The legs go obviously very high, forward and back, mainly because of the transformation. He has a weak point here, which is the knee. It has a very good bend, again because of the transformation and everything, but the problem is that it's very high up. It's almost like in the middle of the thigh is where the knee is. So that's the only weird aspect of it. Otherwise, you know, it's perfectly fine. The feet themselves don't have too much because of the, you know, the way the transformation happens, but you do get a bit of a wiggle. So articulation-wise, this guy is pretty cool. You are going to be able to get this guy into a lot of great poses. You're going to have him looking fantastic sitting on your shelf. And the other good thing is he has mech-tech weapon ports all over his body. So, you know, all the little weapons he gets, you can put him any which way you want to. Even over here, for example, you've got ports over there. You can put him and armor him up really nicely over there. The mech-tech weapon itself can go on his arm over here. There you go. And you know, you've got a whole bunch of places you can put all the weapons that he comes with. So this guy is a wrecker in the true sense of the word, and he looks really good. I mean, this guy is gonna kick butt no matter where he goes, who he fights with. So I'm happy he's on the Autobot team. Now, just to do a few size comparisons, you get an idea of what this guy is in terms of height compared to some of the other Dark of the Moon figures that we have. Here he is next to Roadbuster, so you can see he is a good deal taller than this guy. Not only because of the backpack and the weapon system, but even his head. He's a good centimeter, 2 centimeters higher than Roadbuster. And here he is next to Dark of the Moon crankcase. This thing is fairly accurate. They're about the same size. This guy looks a little bit taller because of the, you know, the big claws that are coming out from the back. But if you get rid of him, just focus on the heads, they are very much the same height. So there we go. that is Dark of the Moon Topspin. I hope you guys have liked the review. Please do make sure you leave a comment and of course subscribe. This is Ace. I'll see you guys at the next review.